This week on RSBANDB Update, we celebrate the Spring Festival with butterflies, free XP for buyables, and cosmetics. Locked out players begin to make their returns with a goodwill bundle. We also review Pymus combat fixes and theorize on everyone's April wishes. This is RSBANDB Update, episode 823, recorded Thursday, April 1st, 2021. Waves of Spring. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to RSBANDB Update. And, many people this week on RS are probably saying welcome back with the first wave of account restorations going out. Hey, Tanis?
Hey. Welcome back. Can we do the welcome back Carter jingle?
I have no idea what you're talking about, but you go for it.
You Canadians with your you just don't have the same classic TV.
Oh, I'm sure we did. It's just I never really watched that. What are we thinking? 1950s here?
No, it's probably late 70s. Had John Travolta on it. Welcome back, Carter. No.
Never
okay.
heard of it.
Well,
never heard
maybe there's a listener out there that knows what I'm
Perhaps.
talking about. But yeah, welcome back. All of you that haven't been with us for the last.
Well, they've been with us, and we've been. Some of the ones I've talked to said that we've actually been a very important source of information for them in terms of getting all that information out there about what was happening with the account lockouts and summarizing all the live streams and everything on that note. So, but nonetheless, of course, this week we also have the Spring Festival. We have a little bit of an April Fool's joke, and of course your questions and the Pymus combat fixes that everybody has been looking forward to. And we'll, of course, get to all of this in good time. But, of course, I am Shane12088. He is Tanis79. You can find us in-game at Friends Chat BitsBytes. And if you want to support the podcast on Patreon, we have that too at patreon.com/RSBANDB. So, diving right into this, we have the Spring Festival. And this is going to be the new template each and every year for the spring event. That's going to focus in around springtime and Easter time. It's going to be running from March 29th through April 11th of this year. And with this is we're seeing an influx of Gothixian butterflies that we're seeing that are symbolizing a monument to Guthix himself, which you could see in the tree himself, a little bit of a sculpture that kind of bears the resemblance of Guthix. And, unlike past events, this one is actually a community event in such that the progress isn't based solely on what you do. It's based upon what the community at large does, which is, I think, a bit interesting to talk about because first and foremost, there's lots of people who haven't been playing for the recent weeks, last 3 weeks or so, and as a result of that, some of them still aren't in. So they might not have the time to dedicate to this event when it comes back. But on the flip side, this event itself, being focused in around Guthix in springtime, I think it actually makes a lot of sense to just have it be a community effort to, gather butterflies in the name of Guthix. So I actually like this approach. What do you think?
I mean, it's something that I feel like we have seen before with the Heart of Gielinor, building, and then when we were building the boat, when we did the White Knights protecting that Falador, refresh or whatever.
Right.
So, I mean, I feel like this is a mechanic that we've seen, and yeah, I don't have any problem with it. I think it's fine, and it, releasing it this week, I think is a decent compromise because we do have, the first
Easter
waves coming back in, and
plus we have Easter, yeah.
Oh, and well, I mean, and it's Passover, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, there are other. Yeah. So I mean, I guess that makes sense.
Right. And, with this, I think many people, of course, had the question, is there any kind of chance of bringing Gothics back, kind of tying it to Easter? But for me, I used to entertain that idea, but I think following As an Elder's Quest, that's just going to be a straight up no for me going forward.
Yeah, I mean, I'm wondering if like the trees, like first it's going to start off like, like someone thinks they see Guthic's image on a piece of toast, but as we keep chipping in, it gets a little more defined. Like you move on to like, now he looks like a Cheeto.
Right. And I mean, we could see the entire tree here, and we have to assume that's the method that people took with that. In terms of what's unlocked from community progression as of time of recording, the community has gathered 4,448,669 butterflies out of a total of 10 million to be gathered over the next 9 days. So, almost halfway there. 9 days.
I know there's a few of you out there that probably just catching the shit out of those butterflies.
And there's a limit on it too. There's a limit on it too, in terms of the special colored ones that you can get. But I mean, definitely all the other ones, I think it's something I want to do because my lowest skill is currently Slayer, so that helps me a lot. But
well, you're in luck because we're going to talk about some changes this week that are going to be great for Slayer.
I don't think they made it better for me.
What?
No. Well, we'll get to that in the patch notes.
Okay.
At 1 million, you unlock 200 spring tokens. At 2 million, you unlocked an area XP buff. We'll talk about what you can do there in just a minute, of 2%. At 3 million, you unlocked a +5 daily butterfly catch limit. At 4 million, it's another 3% area XP buff. 5 million is 400 tokens. 6 million is a 4% buff. At 7 million, another 5 butterflies. 8 million, another 5%. 9 million, 600 tokens. And finally, at 10 million, a 6% XP buff. So summing all these up, we got an increase of 2, 3, so we're at 5. Then another 4, so we're at 9. Then another 5, we're at 14. Then another 6, 20. We're going to be getting an extra 20% XP on top of what we already get here. And, it's fairly decent XP because you have the choices of trading agility or prayer at the central circle. At the eastern cauldrons, you can either brew potions or you can get cooking XP with that. And, how many times have people wanted free agility, prayer, or herblore XP? And then the other two off to the side give fletching and crafting XP off to the west.
Yeah, that's the nice thing about this one is they are all buyables. And at the same time, they're maybe not the most bank-breaking buyables, besides herblore. Herblore is up there. But,
yeah.
It's not like, we do get the construction when the beach comes around sometimes, but you usually don't see it on the, especially on the herblore.
Yeah.
That's common.
I'm getting 32 XP per tick at 120 herblore.
What's that averaging an hour?
I don't know what it's averaging per hour. I haven't calculated that.
You're the math guy.
I know. I should. If I had to guess, it's probably going to be somewhere in the 150 to 200K range, probably. But, of course, that's just a guess. It's not scientific in any way whatsoever. So, just keep that in mind.
Guess we got to remember that is free.
Free, so, precisely.
That is free.
Yeah. And with the icon carving, fletching or crafting, I think we'll choose crafting on that.
But you know what's weird, though? Unless we get up to that full 20%.
Oh, we're going to get up there.
Right, but I don't know if it's more than what we get on a harp right now.
Yeah, probably not.
So that's kind of interesting, I
Yeah.
think.
But agility in prayer is also going to be fun too.
Oh, anything that any way to train agility that's not training agility is worth it's
Yep.
worth it.
Oh yeah.
Until you're 99 and then never mess with it ever again.
Yeah, and I mean, these kind of things always come up, is that how much XP should be given out for free on that, right?
Well, I mean, I think it's a good thing once in a while, especially on these buyables, because if you look at it, like, dude, 150K an hour.
That's just a guess.
That's right, but even that range, see, even 200, even 300 is not good XP per hour for Herblore, but it's free. So I think it's a pretty, I mean, I think that's a good balance there. It's rewarding enough to give you a reason to do it. Yeah, I mean, because yeah.
And it also doesn't advance your skill and kill yak tracks. So just keep that in mind as well. That if you're wanting to do yak track for this isn't going to be the option to progress this. This is purely for gaining tokens as well.
That's too bad. I almost feel like it should. I mean, you're playing.
Well, I don't know that it should.
Why? You're playing?
I mean, yeah, but you're not actually training. And, well, I'm okay, you are training in the sense you're getting XP, but you're not producing anything.
But that was, I mean, so?
Okay, so you think it should give the full XP?
Yeah, I think well, the full yak track, the skill and kill, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I could be with you that that it should give boosts, or sorry, it should progress yak track.
Yeah, that's all. I don't know. That's
okay.
That's all I'm saying. If you're playing, I think it would be good.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. And, I'll go back to the main point. Prayer XP for free. You can, of course, when you first turn that on, you get the warning that, hey, you're going to get combat XP from that, so just keep that in mind. I'm glad they're taking that into account. Mm-hmm. But overall, I mean, I don't know if there's much to worry about on this, and I think it's just a kind of nice time to just lean back and get some XP, because like you said, you're going to get better XP from doing anything else in game, right?
Oh, well, yeah, but I mean, if you think about it, I mean, here's another perspective, and it's hard for us to think about this, but if you were lower to mid leveled,
this would be a godsend.
I mean, whoa.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's when you kind of struggle with these skills a little bit, when they're real expensive, and it's, I don't know. I think it's probably better the lower leveled you are.
Yeah, and I remember when we were doing the Stormbreaker thing for going to Anachronia, that's when I started my farming experiment, and I got, in the span of a weekend, I got from, level 1 to 60 construction for free on that one.
Yeah, that's incredible.
And
wow.
I think that's where the question comes in about, should there be free prayer XP, should there be free agility XP, should there be free Herblore XP kind of thing.
Well, I would have to see if anybody can go from 0 to 60, literally, with this event, because I would venture to say maybe that was a little much, but it was also over an extended period of time.
Yeah,
right?
and
Like
I can't, just doing a quick Google, I can't really see anything for what the XP per hours might be, so I'm betting this isn't an issue that has resonated too much with the community on this, so I think we're fine.
Yeah.
But on to the rewards. You get the spring tokens, of course, that I mentioned, and with that you can purchase the Cruxacal robe set, the butterfly outfits that came from 2013, the Invoke Spring emote, and the Olive Flutter title. If you're into titles like that. I equipped the new robes. I think they look pretty good, and they're 100% spot on for modern RuneScape cosmetics, and honestly, this set of robes would go really well, I think, with something like a Herblore cape.
No, I may be persuaded to come and get the robes. Nothing really is tripping my trigger.
Yeah.
Nothing like says I need to get down there.
You sure about that?
Maybe. I wonder. Well, and I wonder though.
Are you sure about that?
Well, I think so.
For 5k tokens, you can buy a Yak Track skip. I don't know if you're limited to just one, but it's actually not, because every day your first 5,000 tokens you earn will be earned at a faster rate. And, I think it's probably on the order of around 3,000 tokens per hour if you do things the way you're supposed to do them there. Once again, I'm just ballparking this because I was kind of sitting off to the side and not paying full attention to this. But, it's not a high bar, and considering some of these tokens are normally you have to pay bonds for, I think it's a pretty good deal to at least, do this and pick up the free skip.
It's an option, I guess. I mean, it's not provoking me to want to do it, but I mean, that's a good reason, I guess.
Yeah, and there's also mystery lamps.
Skips. Yeah.
And of course, the white and yellow butterflies are also back. The ones that give bonus XP and just a straight up crazy amount of XP for catching them too in your lowest skill. So you can watch those and find those all throughout the world while this event's going on. So it just pays to keep your eye open.
Yeah, those are nice.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying them for Slayer, honestly. So I think we can move on from the Spring Festival now to the Pymus combat fixes that everybody has been chomping at the bit for. So starting off with this, the area loot interface now no longer closes when walking around. It will periodically update while walking around or when an NPC drops loot, and it also closes itself after moving more than 10 tiles since it last updated. And finally, auto-retaliate is no longer disabled while the area loot interface is open.
Cha-ching. Dude, there's your Slayer fix, man. It's great. It's updating as the monsters are moving. You can kind of move around a little bit, and every time you do, it doesn't go away.
And you can attack.
I
don't know. It's just
this is good.
I've never been moved by Slayer, and I still felt that way after giving it a try recently. So I don't know what the issue is.
Maybe you haven't gotten I don't know. Maybe your typical luck hasn't shown through when it comes to Slayer.
Well, it has with Clue Scrolls, remember, a couple weeks back.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's true.
There's also a new unlock available for Moor's Retreat, which will reset ability cooldowns when using the Altar of War. That makes sense.
Seems like a big deal, but I don't
well,
know.
yeah, it is, because, anytime you have abilities that are... and I don't know if you're going to be going, unless you're doing something, I think, like a Telos, and you have an ability that's on a 2-minute cooldown and you come back, that would make sense. I don't think there are many 5-minute ability cooldowns that the PVMers use that much. But I'm thinking that, hey, I mean, even if you're going off and you were doing Slayer or something, and you wanted to make this your new banking hub, and you use that little ice crystal thing to heal yourself, this is a good option with that too. Because that thing has a 5-minute cooldown.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
So that's a positive, and it doesn't even have to be for PVM. I think it's just all combat. So. Players are also no longer able to use the Zaros Godsword special attack if a different one is already active. Seems like a bit of an oversight, but we'll take it.
Well, but I'm wondering if that can apply to you remember the new item that holds special
Essence
attack?
of Finality.
Yeah, the Essence of Finality. I wonder.
Yeah, I'd say that probably had some impact on that.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
Now here's a big one. Revolution Combat Mode will now fire off abilities more consistently after a channeled ability is used, bringing it in line with full manual mode. Of course, channeled abilities means that your character is focused on finishing that ability before it can do anything else. Now, one of these abilities that we're talking about is something like Asphyxiate. And I never noticed this, but maybe I don't use it enough, and I'm sure this would be a night and day change for anybody who was aware of this.
Well, but what amazed me when I saw this was I was like, oh, that's been around for so long. And then 2 words flashed through my mind. Known issue.
Yeah.
Like, yep, it probably has been floating around
and it's a
forever.
question of, and it's just a question of being able to allocate the time to fix it, and if it's a little bit obscure, making sure that the fix isn't going to break anything else.
I mean, I guess that's the key with all of these Revolution changes, but they're all nice. And this one is one that has been out there for a really long time, and I'm surprised that I would have thought that this did raise to a higher priority level, but it's fixed. That's cool.
You can now adjust the size of the buff and debuff bar icons on desktop.
That's really cool too.
Yeah, and it's not a massive change, but it's just enough to kind of influence your experience. And we'll have a look at this.
I mean, it could be if you can't make it. It could be, because yes, we could already move them around, but you couldn't really make it bigger. You could resize the box, but you couldn't resize the things, and that can be hard to see.
Yeah,
even under magnification. So I
need to get something out here
really
that
cool.
has a timer on it. I'm actually going to pop an aura because that's going to be the easiest way to go about this. And one of the things with auras is that right now their text appears in the lower left-hand corner of the screen, but if you use interface scaling, as I do sometimes, it's a little bit hard to read. But if you actually go up to medium icon size, it makes the text on these buff bars a whole lot easier to read. So this is a good change, but if you go to the largest buff bar size, icon size, that's all fine and dandy. But if there's a timer on one of the buffs, that timer appears right in the middle of the icon, and you can't see what the icon is.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, that's no bueno.
Yeah. So, to me, large is not usable.
Okay.
Because you can't even see what the icon is. You got to pretty much just either settle for small, which is what we had, or medium, as I'm going to say, the happy medium. Because, I mean, sure, if you're using buffs that don't have timers on them, then by all means go for large. But if you're going to go for large, just be aware that if your thing has a timer on it, it's gonna have a negative effect. And let me make sure it's just not auras. I'm going to pop a potion here as well, because that's something that we need to just be 100% clear on with this.
I mean, there must be a reason why they moved it there, but something that I just want to, caution people on is, the concept of visual clutter. And when it's layered like that, it can be really hard to differentiate.
Yeah, I just popped a holy overload, and both icons it gave me for that, the prayer renewal and the overload, have the text right in the middle of them. So you can see that, there's prayer stars behind one and then the potion behind the other. But you're going to have to still mouse over them to figure out what they are, and you can't see it at a glance. Whereas if you go to medium, that won't be much of a problem at all. Medium is actually very nice. So I just wanted to make that note because, yes, this is a good feature and it's nice to have, but just be aware about large icon sizes.
Yeah, I didn't even think about it being on top of there. I'm like, that was a good call, Shane.
Yep. All right. Dragon Breath will now prioritize your main target before performing the usual area of effect attack.
See, that was another one that's been around for a long time. So
and I guess it would just... What would it do before?
I mean, it just hit... I'm not... hit everything as far as I know. Like, it wasn't prioritized like that. Like, it might have hit the thing that wasn't directly in front of you for, the harder hit, I believe.
Oh, and you don't want that.
You don't want that.
Ingenuity of the Humans is no longer triggered by non-ability attacks. Good. The Needle Strike buff will now apply to the targeted enemy and last for the correct length of time, and it can no longer be reapplied by switching targets. So that's a bit of a bug fix and a quality of life fix all in one.
Mm-hmm.
The time you can perform an ability after using Snipe is now correct, because there was a bit of a lockout with that one Snipe. I think it was like 3 seconds.
That was one that I was saying it might be a bigger deal than what I realized or something, but...
Well, I feel like that one always took a long time to fire off. Perhaps too long. So... maybe that's what I was feeling. The Quick Prayer menu will now show available presets more consistently. The check charge option in filtered chat during combat will no longer spam the chat box when pressed or held for gear that's already equipped on the action bar. This doesn't apply to the first messages, but all other messages within a shorter time. That's good. And I personally, when it comes to checking charges on items, I really only do that, through the right-click option. So I'm glad the clutter with that will kind of disappear a bit. And finally, the crackling perk now triggers on the next attack after the cooldown ends rather than immediately. Does this sound kind of like a bit of a nerf, maybe?
I had the same feeling. I was like, see, this was one too that I'm like, I wonder if this has a bigger impact than what I'm thinking. That's.
Well, I know. I don't think, and I could be wrong on this for the PVMers out there, but I think they have other perks that they use instead of crackling.
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess that's probably true.
But, I mean, for everybody else, this is a fairly big change because, I mean, I'd imagine people do use crackling on Slayer tasks and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, I have it on stuff.
So, that one, of course, has perhaps a bit of a bigger impact than we're aware of since we're not PVMers, but if we are underestimating this fix or any of the other fixes, please do let us know in the comments. We also had some engine changes this week with various improvements being made to point lights. And you guys are probably wondering, what the hell is a point light? Well, there's a number of ways you can light the world. Point lights are one of them. Spotlights is another one. There's a few other lighting methods as well. But you can basically think of a point light as a lamp just that evenly illuminates the entire area around you, and then the light will bounce off the various objects inside that room and light things up. At least that's how it works in real life. And point lights have a certain amount of math behind them that you need to account for. This is math that's not accounted for by your graphics toolkit, so OpenGL in the case of RuneScape, which is something that your video card uses to render the game worlds. So it's not accounted for by that, and the game developer in question has to handle the math of how the light actually illuminates and bounces, if you can believe it or not, when it comes to something like a point light. So when they talk about improvements made to point lights, they're talking about how the math behind the lighting system in the game works.
That would break my brain trying to figure out that kind of math.
I mean, we debated having a discussion on this. Well, I debated asking for a discussion like this because Sirion and I had a discussion about how exactly point lights work with this, and he gave me a really good explanation. But suffice to say, it's just a light that shines down and illuminates. That kind of spreads itself out, and then there's a certain number of mathematical equations behind that, and optimizations to those equations is likely what this fix is referring to.
I see. Was there a whiteboard involved?
No, but there could have been.
Okay.
There could have been. Switching apps or locking your phone in certain circumstances will no longer cause freezing or crashes when on a Samsung Galaxy S20 or Galaxy Note 20 devices. We also have a new mobile app icon, which looks pretty flash from what I've seen of it. Now, of course, we know the last big kind of glitch that happened when we were talking about updates that occurred prior to the login lockout. We got the mobile login screen for a little bit, and this next patch note says the login screen has reverted to its previous look.
You know what's funny, though, is I never noticed that because the Steam login is slightly different anyway.
Right,
and
the Steam client wasn't affected by it.
Yeah. Added
Functionality to the mobile lobby screen so that the device's back button will toggle the display of the side panel. That's interesting. That's an Android feature for those iOS users out there. They have old Android phones used to have a physical back button that you could push that would either take you back somewhere in the app or maybe pop open a menu like this, but now most of them are buttons on screen and you can just press it and it'll do that. They've also added various close buttons to pop-ups in the login screen. And I'm apparently also getting spammed with text messages right now. And I mean literal spam. Americans spend more annually on cat food than baby food. Next one. Unlike dogs, cats do not have a sweet tooth. Scientists believe this is due to a mutation in a key taste receptor. Like, who sends out spam like that?
I don't know. That is so weird.
And I don't know the number. But anyways, carrying on with the patch notes, Yak Track hotfixes, the Yak to Basic splash screen and tutorial no longer pops up every time a player opens the Yak Track. And Tier 22, Task A, now shows the correct options for smelting. You previously couldn't smelt with this one before. That's good.
Okay.
Premier Club monthly drops new feature and new and improved messaging. The Iron Man plaque in Edgeville has been updated to include Bick's achievement of the Insane Reaper title. Congratulations. Apparently that's a character.
Yeah.
Vanaka has left a helpful note in his previous location to point players towards his new one. And
not surprised.
Yeah, it was a bit of a weird change. And changing your spellbook using spellbook swap or otherwise is now more responsive.
So I was wondering about the impact of that one too, because like, how often is that used? Is that a big deal or not? Like, I feel like it might be. I'm not sure.
When I was doing archaeology and anytime I had to go gather materials in God Wars Dungeon 1, I would use spellbook swap to swap from Lunars to the traditional spellbook.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's definitely a common thing, I think, for people who run on Lunars, I would say.
Oh, well, yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah. Before we move on to April Fools and bringing people back into game, the Premier Club drop this month for April is 1,000 Oddments, a variety pack, and a small knowledge bomb, which gives you an XP boost. So those will be deposited into your inventory when you log in if you have Premier. Now, of course, the login lockout updates. 2 waves of accounts were returned this week. They will resume returning on April 6th after the bank holiday on Monday, coinciding with Easter. And, with the accounts that came back on the 30th and 31st of March this week, there were some issues with the accounts coming back for people, including bank and inventories being jumbled with items disorganized. That's no big deal. You can just organize.
Yeah, I was going to say, if that's the least of our worries, that's good.
Invention perks have been reverted to an earlier state. And
it might just be the best that you can do.
And they have refunded most components for any perk rolls since the last save state of your perks. And they've also added an extra 50% of any returned components.
I don't know. I feel like that's the best that they could do.
Yeah, because when we first saw this happening, when we first saw the first account betas go out, perks were missing entirely. So I'd imagine they found some source to bring the perks onto the account, so that's good. Some player-owned farm animals might be missing. Some people might be teleported to Berthorpe or Lumbridge. Some UI sightings might be changed. Potential for duplicated or missing items under certain conditions. And bonds and keys may not be restored immediately upon your account being unlocked. This is restored under a separate process and should be resolved after deployment. Now, of course, there is a full discussion on this called aftercare. The player support team is going to be able to ensure that any account that is not as it should be will make it right. They have put together a new form where you can just click it and fill this out if you have had any problems with your account after receiving them back. And they say, please list any items you are missing in the following format. They want an item name, a RuneScape wiki link, and a quantity link. And if we're unable to return exact items, we may return currency or materials as an equivalent option. Now, of course, we had the discussion last week. What if somebody goes out there and says, hey, I'm missing my blue party hat? Please don't do that if you're one of these people. I think that would just be a bad thing to do. I don't want to have to say that, and I don't want to think that there are people out there like that, because people should just be happy with their accounts as is. But, you never know. It's a weird world we live in.
You never know. On the same token, could you imagine being a person that accidentally had their party hat duped? Like, holy crap. Probably need to let somebody know. You should probably also let someone know if you have items like that were duped, even if you had an Eldritch crossbow or something that would have been duped, right? Because those are pretty expensive. So let's talk a bit about what they're going to be doing to make things right. And we talked a bit about this on the roundtable last weekend because this came out on the Friday. So 1 month of credit has already been provided. Coverage for any additional time locked out will be provided. And they're also giving an extra month of goodwill membership credit for impacted members. Good. I think we say that that's the bare minimum. They're also giving a 1 month stipend of double daily keys for the keys that you would have missed if you are members and free to play, of course. Everybody will also get an in-game Goodwill gift bundle. And we got awesome April events that are on the way, too. So the in-game
Goodwill bundle is actually a lot of what we talked about. They're going to be getting a title called The Returned, or The Returned Iron Man. They'll also be getting the Cloak of Returning, the Disc of Returning Weapon Override, the Disc of Returning Inventory Object, and the Return from the Abyss teleport animation. This is right on the nose, isn't it?
Yeah, that was exactly what we said they needed to do.
And I said, if you want to make light of it, then you could do that. But, cosmetics are a good option with that. So I'd be happy with that if I was stuck. And, you got to, of course, keep in mind that these are going to be silly, rare cosmetics as people move on from the game. That if I was locked out, I'd say, no, you never give this out to anyone again.
Yeah. Oh, well, absolutely.
And we also just need to be clear that the Disc of Returning Weapon Override is not the same Disc of Returning from 2002.
I didn't even remember that
This
one.
is rad.
So.
Yeah, the Disc of Returning was an old item from 2002, I believe, that was used to come back from this area where they would store accounts that were banned. And you could go there and, see that at will. But they, later removed that, and any Disc of Returnings that you had, you were able to keep. And they were tradable, too, apparently. The G price for a current old Disc of Returning is $997 million.
Wow.
Yeah, this is for the old black hole stuff. So it's important to note that these aren't the same Disc of Returning items. I just wanted to make that clear. The gift pack you'll get includes 10 restoration pods, which offer double XP, 10 advanced pulse cores, 10 cinder cores, 10 large protean packs, 10 medium prismatic lamps. That's what we talked about when it came to missed daily challenges that you would be doing. 10 yak track skips, 10 portable skilling stations, and 10 D&D resets.
Yeah, we was right on the nose, and I don't even think we thought about the D&D stuff.
No.
So,
I think this was good.
I think they've done everything they can do.
Right on the nose, exactly as it should have been.
Mm-hmm.
Now, moving on from this, let's talk about Awesome April. March 29th starts the 2-week seasonal Easter event. April 4th will be Skilling Week, which is the celebration of archaeology anniversary, plus a range of skilling buffs. Can you believe it's been a year?
Yes and no, because it's kind of like a marriage, Like sometimes a marriage seems like, wow, it still feels like yesterday, and then sometimes it feels like, oh, it's been a long time. Been together forever.
April 19th will be Combat Week, which will feature Double Reaper, Slayer points, Combat XP, reduced death costs, and more. D&D Week will be on April 26th. This will be distractions and diversions and dailies, reset tokens, Vizwanks, player-owned ports, and player-owned farm. And then, the end of April, everyone gets a wish. And we theorized a bit about this on the roundtable. What do you think they mean by this? Like, is this going to be something where you can just, pick a random item and you're going to have maybe a chance of getting that item? Or failing that, you might get some kind of consolation prize in the form of a lamp? And that, everybody gets a wish?
Maybe? I don't know about the whole wish thing. I don't know. I hate not having an answer, but this one has stumped me since the beginning.
Yeah. It says last but certainly not least, a little extra special, something that we're cooking up to thank all players too. At the end of April, we'll be granting some special wishes for everyone. While we're being all mysterious and elusive on this one, we'll reveal more about this later on in the month. What would you wish for? Now, another thing that we thought about this is that it might not be an individual wish. It could be something that the community's been wishing for a long time.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I remember we're going to get quality of life fixes out of this. Yep.
But what kind of quality of life fixes would that be? Because that's different for everyone. Because my quality of life fixes would honestly be engine fixes for the Mac OS client to bring it up to par with what we have on Windows. Which is a wish when you think about it, but it's not the wish everyone's going to have for quality of life.
Yeah.
Other people might wish for quality of life for their favorite skill. I don't know that they could go with something monetary. I feel like that's over. This, right?
Yeah, and could that be overthinking it a little bit?
It could be. Yeah. Could be. What if it's just some weird new treasure hunter promotion that gives everybody some kind of lamp and some XP, and it's a wish lamp or something like that?
I could see that.
I know, and that's why I said it, but I don't think people would like that.
Well, I don't think they're going to get, like, a wish from a genie or something. Like, you're not going to catch a leprechaun. Like, you're not. That's just not how this is going to work.
What if it was a wish to get rid of Treasure Hunter?
Nah. That would be the pie in the sky update, since we didn't get that patch yet.
Free rare cosmetics for everyone that don't devalue the existing cosmetics in game or existing rare items in game. I think that also came up at the round table.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that will be how they come out, but
no.
Yeah.
And it's so vague that it could be literally everything, and I think we've covered everything in the vein of what it could be. Yeah. So I'm personally leaning towards the idea that you're going to be able to pick some kind of list of maybe item that you could get, something that would be, pertinent towards your current skill training, your current combat, and then you'd have a chance of getting it, and then if not, you get some kind of token XP kind of thing maybe. That's potentially what I see happening. What are you going to go with out of everything we've talked about?
Everything we talked about.
I seem to remember you being very out there for the quality of life stuff last weekend.
Yeah, that's what that's what I'm looking at.
All right.
I mean, I think it's going to be what we would expect with the Ninja Strike quality of life.
So a Ninja Strike fixes. Quality of life, small fixes.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, I mean, I guess we'll just have to wait and see until we're in April, and hopefully it's something that is substantive and we're not just being led along on this, because if it was a Treasure Hunter promotion, I'd have to laugh very, very hard.
Oh, yeah. I mean, oh, my God. I never thought about that.
Right? Right? It could be a Treasure Hunter promotion where you get a wish on Treasure Hunter. And if you don't get it...
very well could be. Oh, man. It's going to be some kind of genie and a bottle. Yep.
Now that I say it, it doesn't seem too far-fetched, does it?
No, and maybe that says a lot. Saying a lot. But it's really not that far-fetched.
No, it's not. Well, we'll just have to wait and see then. All right. April Fool's also happened this week. And with this, there was a bunch of... there was a ritual that happened in Draenor Manor. They were trying to bring in some... They were trying to teleport to Infernus, but they wound up teleporting somewhere else and brought in some balloon demons. And you needed to get a big enchanted pointy stick in order to pop the balloon that teleported in. And in order to do that, you had to take Party Pete's stick and use it to pop some smaller balloons. It takes all of 5 minutes to do. You can find them, or you could find them. I don't know how long it's going to be in game. You could find them anywhere near around Draenor Manor. Pop the balloons, bring back the balloon pieces to Regina there, and she will enchant the stick to be an enchanted stick. Then you can use that to pop the big balloon that appeared. And this all happened because these mages were trying to teleport to Infernus, but Party Pete did one of his balloon drops while they were doing the teleport spell, and because of that, they brought in a whole bunch of balloons from the Land of Rubber, and Kirill I can't say that name. Kirill Pissaroth, or I don't know how the hell you would pronounce that. The demon guy appears, and this is all Party Pete's fault because of that. So this was, just a fun little 5-minute April Fool's type event. It wasn't cabbage themed this year, but nonetheless, you got to pop some balloons, and when you're done, you get a little balloon follower cosmetic pet that you can have as a follower pet with that. So,
yeah, I liked the little pet.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah.
Balloon.
What do you think? What do you think is more substantive, the April Fool's event or the Easter event in terms of something that's novel? Because you get cosmetics from the spring event, but with this one you actually get a little follower.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the spring event, because even though you don't get a follower, you do get XP.
Yeah.
In the deal too.
Yeah,
so I gotta go.
I think there's just a little something about a demon balloon following you around.
This is one of the better April
yeah, because you
Fools.
actually do get something from it, right?
Yeah, I mean that's not typical.
And I'm betting that this will be a limited event, and that people going forward won't be able to gain access to it, just because of the nature of it too. So for those who like to collect things like that, that's a positive.
Mm-hmm.
But that was April Fool's. I think we can move on to our listener question. Before we do that, I just want to thank our Patreon supporters for this episode. You guys make us do all of the fun things that we do here at Update. So many things that we wouldn't get to do normally. You guys enable that. And, we have another example of that live on the Patreon feed. We just shipped a monthly bit covering the launch of the sailing skill. That was so fun, wasn't it?
It was, and I didn't realize that I needed it in my life the way that I do.
This all started with an idea that you had, that we were looking, we do what's the monthly bit going to be? And I say, next Thursday is also April 1st. And you say, let's do sailing. Then you turn this over to Sirion and myself. And once the weekend is up, he put together a core loop. And a couple days after that, I wrote most of the encounters up that filled into the skill. And lo and behold, we have something that actually represents what the sailing skill could be.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. I was like, how did they come up with something that I'm now looking at going, I kind of want sailing in the game. This is viable. Yeah.
Anyways, this week I'd like to thank Andrew C., Arvids L., Brock H., Cameron, CGB 900, a new arrival, Christian S., Cook Me Plocks, Danny C., Diana, Duramax, Gabrielle, Guy Lafleur, Jade Gizmo, Jason S., Jim M., Kesky, Kevin G., Kyle, Lucky Ducky, Malinoric, Nora, Parnassius, Rastafa, Ricky A., Ryan P., Soupfinder, Stabiv, Tanner J.W., The Naked Captain, The Lion, Tom V., Zachary K., and Zat. Thank you all of you for the support. It truly does mean the world to us. You let us do all these fun things like sailing, and whatnot. And if you want to join these people, just visit patreon.com/RSBNB. In fact, visit us on Patreon as well if you want to listen to that sailing episode where we talk about the skill and talk about how it would fit in within the game. And, we maintained our composure until the end of it, until we said, this is actually a joke, you guys. But we stayed in the character of April Fools throughout pretty much the entire thing. So you can find that and more at patreon.com/RSBNB for as little as $1 a month. In addition to that, you get early access to our show notes, you get a mention in the show notes, and of course you help fund the cost for hosting and production of RSBANDB Update. For $3 a month, you'll receive a special VIP rank on Discord, a mention on the podcast at the start of the month, and access to high-quality stereo versions of the podcast. And for $5 a month, you'll receive a shout-out each and every week on the podcast and gain exclusive access to the outtakes we use to make the clip show at the end of the year, in addition to everything else. Of course, we do have our long-term goals as well with that, including the round table, which we do each and every month. We did that last weekend. You can find that as well on Patreon. We have our going for, should we reach $200 a month, every patron will receive a special thank you postcard that we will send out to anybody who provides shipping information because, of course, after all, everything we're doing wouldn't be possible without you guys, so thank you so much. And the long shot, the really long shot, should we reach $500 a month, Tanis and I and maybe a couple others will subject ourselves to the Hot Ones Challenge, which means subjecting our taste buds to a range of spicy wings for your enjoyment. Apparently it's going to be painful.
Very painful. I think we should call that the hot shot, right?
Ooh, that's a good way of describing it.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, thank you everybody for making this also possible. If you want to learn more, visit us at patreon.com/RSBNB. Thanks so much, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
All right. Well, I still am getting spam text messages. Looks like we're going to need to block that number eventually. I don't know what the hell's going on with that, but we do have a question this week from Droggy, who is wondering if you could find out the reason as to why Telos drops a Zerosian Godsword, a Saren Godbow, and a Staff of Sliske. How does all of this relate to Telos? Now, of course, we don't have the true reasoning behind it, as we are not the game developers, but, the simple answer would be to say, it's gameplay, it's game balance design, but we actually want to take a bit of a stab at this and approach this from what Telos is. And, Telos is referred to as the Warden. And this is a track that you put us on, so maybe you want to shed some light on this, because this was initially your idea.
Yeah, so, since Telos is the Warden and, the protector of the anima, and Zaros and Saren have a stronger tie, they're a higher tier, they have a stronger tie with the Elder Gods. That's the connection to why you have the Zaros sword and the Saren Godbow, but they needed somebody to fill in the space for a magic weapon, and, Sliske is always a wild card, so we can always throw him in there. Or does it point to his connection to Dark Anima?
Shadow Anima, yeah.
Or Shadow Anima.
You're right on the nose with that, I think. I've long said that and I came up with this idea, I think, on the Azinadra episode. The way I see this whole thing ending is a conflict where Zaros winds up dead from the confrontation with the Elder Gods. Saren will be distraught from this and will shatter herself as she's unable to go on, shatter herself like she did previously. And, of course, we have the staff of Sliske coming in representing the Shadow Anima, as you mentioned. So I think the way this whole thing is going is that with Telos being located in the heart of Gielinor, of course, we also learn that that's where the Elder Halls are, where the Elder God's eggs are currently napping. I think it makes total sense the way you were going, that it's kind of foreshadowing what the ultimate conclusion of the Elder God Wars is going to be. A confrontation between Saren and Zaros that will draw the Elder God's attention, potentially, causing Zaros to wind up dead, Saren shattering herself, and whatever remnant Sliske has remaining inside of us being blown to bits or having it disappear. And with that, you have the three representations here of what Telos can drop, the byproducts of an Elder God Wars that hinged on anima. And that's what Telos the Warden is all about, is that you just have the three different representations here of, I think, what's going to be represented in the Elder God Wars. And I don't know if this is something that would have been planned going back, because thinking about it, Telos came out after God Wars 2. I don't remember if it was before or after Sliske's Endgame. I'm going to look that up right now. But I definitely think it has to do with the Hanima and, everything that's tied into the Heart of Gielinor. So I think that's a really good way of looking at it, Tanis.
Well, thank you, Shane.
Yeah, and, I think that's the best answer that I can give outside of the boring gameplay dynamics balancing answer. And Telos did come out before Sliske's Endgame. So,
okay.
There, of course, was this discussion already going on as we were leading up to Endgame, but I think that's all just been amplified recently with the recent stories that we talked about in terms of what we learned in Azanada's quest, in particular related to the Elder Halls as well.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good way of putting it, honestly, with that. Another reason might just be is that what other kind of emissary of Zaros or Saren are you going to fight that is going to be able to drop something that's tier 92? Because, of course, remember, these damn things are tier 92, and they're some of the most expensive weapons in the game currently.
Yeah. Well, that's a fact.
Yeah. So, I think that handles that one very well. So hopefully that's a decent enough answer for you, Droggy, even if it did kind of involve a little bit of theory crafting on our end. So fingers crossed that this is the direction things go and that you're happy with this answer. But if you guys want to send your own questions in, you can email them to questions@rsbnb.com. You can also leave us a DM on Twitter at RSBNB, or visit our questions forum at update.rsbnb.com/ask. You ready to do some fishing this month?
I'm ready to do some fishing, Shane.
You think you're going to win?
I might. I'm not as good as I once was, but I was good once.
Okay.
As I'll ever be.
All right, fair enough.
I mean, fishing is going to be the first gathering probably to go to 120.
Ooh.
And, we're looking at, 30-ish mil. I don't think it's out of the question.
Yikes.
Let me remind you.
You're going to be using the waterfall.
I am the guy that I did 18 mil in a week fishing once. I said it couldn't be done, but I did it.
So you're saying this is a return to the glory days then?
No.
Okay.
Probably not at all. But I've done it before, so we'll see if I can do it again.
Yeah, and I encourage everybody to sign up as well. Just visit rsbnb.com/skotm. Sign up. The competition begins on April 5th at reset game time, so April 5th, midnight, UTC. Runs for 2 weeks. We're running this one for 2 weeks this month. So sign up. Enjoy. All right. I believe you have a pick of the week for us.
Yeah, so I've picked this before, but there is a new season of The Masked Singer, and we're a couple weeks in. It's a little bit different this time because they're doing wild cards, and the quality of the singing is really, really good. We have not seen any Sarah Palins, or actually, now that I say that, we may have seen one of the worst singers as well. But on the most part, it's been the best. There've been some really good acts. This week was a total shock to everybody, except for my 8-year-old daughter, who totally nailed it. And spoiler alert, they sent Logan Paul home. So I'm like, what? Where'd this guy come from? And then, of course, the follow-up question was, how do you know about Logan Paul? I don't think you should be watching that anymore.
Interesting.
But, yeah, no, it's been fun. The thing that I like about it is it's just one of the few shows that you can sit and watch with your family, and kind of get into, I think it's neat that a lot of these people either were big singers at one point, in their life, or they're, a known actor,
right,
known athlete, something like that, and then they're wearing this outrageous costume, and you really have no clue. The judges are great. I mean, Jenny McCarthy and Nicole Schlesinger, or however you say her name, the Pussycat Doll chick. I mean, so that's good scenery. Robin Thicke is cool, Ken is hilarious. So, yeah, it's a great little family show that I think it's got another awesome season.
Yeah, and I think these ones are, you're not going to run out of celebrities, and I think this is definitely one that you could keep running and running for a long time. It's not like they're going to get bored of it or anything to that effect.
Well, no, and they've had some fairly big start. I mean, last year we saw Clint Black and Leanne Rimes.
Oh, wow.
I mean, yeah. And you really, a lot of times you really don't know until you get really far, down the line.
They should get Donald
even
Trump
then
on there.
You're like, you might have it narrowed down between one and
because they can just
two.
be actors. They don't actually have to be able to sing, right?
Yeah, no, they could be I mean, we've seen football players. We've seen, lots of stuff.
Like you said, Sarah Palin.
Sarah Palin. Yeah.
Has anybody ever been guessed straight off the bat?
Well, they do a thing this year where, the judges write down their first impressions, and then when the person does finally get eliminated, they go back and check those first impressions and then see if anyone gets
see how
it right.
close they were.
Yeah. It happens very rarely. Very, very rarely.
All right, fair enough. Sounds good. And this is on Fox. I don't know where you would watch that streaming. Where do you watch it streaming?
I think it's, I don't know if it's Hulu or Amazon. I think it's Amazon.
All right.
Could be wrong.
It's all so confusing in this day and age. Because these streaming services are really becoming as elaborate as, the cable providers out there. So.
Yeah.
All right. My pick of the week is something that's going to be happening on Monday. Monday is April 5th, and this symbolizes, of course, First Contact Day. And through StarTrek.com, they're running a First Contact Day actual event that's going on there. And what they have for that is they have a list of recommendations of First Contact episodes that you can watch, ranging from all of the series that are out there. So they got some original series in there. They got some Lower Decks, Deep Space Nine, Short Treks, Voyager, Discovery, even the old animated series, Enterprise, Next Generation, and even Picard. All of these episodes put together, they recommend that you watch these, and you can, of course, spend the weekend watching them. But also on Monday, they're going to have a series of panel discussions featuring Patrick Stewart, also some of the cast of Star Trek First Contact, revisiting that movie after 25 years. Yeah, it came out 25 years ago.
Wow. I'm totally watching that Monday.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah.
Perfect one to watch.
It just feels right.
Creating First Contact, talking about the connection between creature design and makeup, so kind of a behind-the-scene kind of thing about how they work with all that. Then they got a panel on women in motion, and then Second Contact, which is talking about various B stories out there that have made their way into recent incarnations of the shows. And then finally, they're going to have a panel with Kate Mulgrew talking about the children's show that's coming out later this year called Prodigy. So it's going to run through the entire day on Monday, and it's going to be streamed online on Paramount Plus and YouTube. So if you have some time, definitely give it a check. And if you also play Star Trek Online, they are running their First Contact Day events, where you just get to have a little bit of fun with a replica toy Phoenix rocket launch little engagement as well. So lots of good fun surrounding this. And, it really started to pick up a number of years ago with the Stowe events, but in the recent years, it's actually become a day that's morphed itself into something more than just, a day in universe, to become a day out of universe as well. So that'll be a fun one, just right after Easter. So
very cool.
All of this, of course, for First Contact Day and The Masked Singer. You can find the show notes at update.rsbnb.com. Let's do some achievements, shall we?
Yes, we shall.
All right. Starting off, we have Sipedaboo with 99 Agility on March 28th. Chazzy got 99 Divination, also on the 28th. We have Simply Skells with 99 Farming. Snow Light with 99 Agility. And the Astrophel with 99 Constitution on March 27th.
All right, nice. Well, then we have Evil Fan with 120 Dungeoneering on the 26th. We have Zerdones with 99 Magic on March 26th. We have Sipedaboo with 99 Divination on the 25th. We have Arendelle 120 with 120 Farming on the 25th. Nice. Omega with 200 mil defense on the 25th. And Robbie with 120 Divination on March 25th. Look at it. Look at that. Wow.
Yeah, a bit of a quiet week, but nonetheless some good achievements all around. Congratulations to everybody. And, we're going to talk about what we've been up to on RS recently, but if you guys want to help out with the show, you want to maybe guest on the podcast, write Informer articles, or, maybe do some graphics work, just check out our Help Wanted forum at update.rsbnb.com/help, and look forward to seeing what you have to say on that. So, what have you been up to on RS?
I've been kind of warming up a little bit, working, doing a little bit of fishing here and there.
Uh-huh.
Just, just staking my claim to the old mountain. And, yeah, that's really been about it.
I assume by mountain you mean the waterfall.
Well, yeah. I mean, how many mountains do we have?
Ice Mountain, White Wolf Mountain. I don't know what else. But okay.
But I'm the old man I'm going to be the old man on
yeah,
the
of course. And I think it's going to be interesting to see, because it's been a while since you've been in action on one of these, hasn't it?
Yeah. Probably, yeah, a long time.
I wonder what kind of competition you're going to have. I haven't looked at the list internally of who's signed up yet, so I don't know.
We'll see. I mean, I don't know. It's gathering though, so that can be a blessing or a curse. We just got to see.
Yeah, could be. All right. For me, I've been doing Yak Track and the spring event out there. The spring event, I've unlocked all the cosmetics, of course, with that. But I'm going to probably continue with that for a bit, see if I can get the Yak Track skip off that. Because, I mean, it's always good to, bank a free skip every now and again, just in case that winds up coming up at some point that you're going to want to be able to do that. Plus, I said with this Yak Track, we have the time. Because at this point, I think there's about 10 days left or so, and it's going to be extended by another 14 days for everybody that's missed it. So I feel no problem in taking my time with it and kind of just relaxing with it, if you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. I'm currently on task 42, which is either 1,750 crafting items or 40 intervals of skill and kill, which is 2 hours of gameplay, which really ain't that much when you think about it.
No, I mean, it's a few weeks, 48 hours or so.
No. 40 intervals of skill and kill, with each interval being 3 minutes long. It's only 2 hours of gameplay.
Yeah. Oh, no, that's easy. That's a decent session.
Yeah. And, I actually also went right in for the last smithing task that I had. And I smith Elder Rune.
Oh.
Rather than just using Protean bars. And it actually wasn't that bad because, I had the bars that were left over from previous tasks. I just had to pick up a few extra rune bars on the side, but, that's no big deal anymore.
Well, I mean, it does make a difference when you have your own stuff.
Yes. Yeah, and I've been collecting these for Yak Tracks going back, so I figured, hey, it's time. Why not use them and, fully do a bit of training with that burial mechanic. And I do have to say that for anybody out there, just a reminder how the burial stuff works. You buy a +5, you convert it. You don't need to put any resources into it. You just get 80,000 smithing XP off the bat with that. You could do that, but I really didn't have to do that. I wound up just creating, I think it was basically 3 or 4 Elder Rune Plate Body 5s, and then just converted them to burial, and that was, most of the task right there, because each one gives you 240k. So yeah, I did that 3 times, and then I just topped off the rest with Protean bars for the extra 45k I needed or so on top of that. So I actually enjoyed doing it that way. And the extra time, knowing there's no pressure on this Yak Track, has really made me play it differently than I did the past ones. And I'm doing tasks that I would have skipped before, believe it or not, because I had the extra time.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. I only used 2 skips. As I mentioned last week, I used a skip on a task that was either summoning or fletching or marks of war. And I also used a skip on another task that was fletching or herblore or playing minigames. And those are the only 2 skips I've used. And as I said, I'm already on task 42.
Damn.
So
you've done pretty good then.
Yeah, and I'm not planning on using any other skips as we move through this because following from this, I have a divination task, which is going to be simple. I have a farming task, which is going to be simple. Agility or smithing. I'll probably go smithing again with that one. Hunter or skill and kill is task 46. I've been doing big game hunter with that. I don't see why I wouldn't not do that. Probably in about an hour of big game hunter last time. I think I got around 360k XP, so I might be able to knock the entire skill and kill out in the time I'm doing big game hunter. But nonetheless, it's I feel like it's money coming in. Granted, yeah, you could say opportunity cost. I could be doing something else, but there's still money coming in at the end of that, and I'm getting some hunter XP along the way. So I have no problem with that. Archaeology, soil screening. Once again, another excuse to train archaeology and go for potion fragments. Cooking and prayer or clue scrolls. I'll probably do the clue scrolls on that one just because of the luck last time. And then we have construction or herblore. construction contracts. I still need outfit pieces. And then the last one, summoning or skill and kill, that will probably be skill and kill. So I don't see myself using any other skips, and I'm already at task 42. So the extra time is truly welcome on this for me.
Yeah, that sounds
I think so far, this is my favorite Yak track in terms of tasks. I mean, maybe not in terms of cosmetics, but definitely in the way the tasks were set up on this. So I'm pleased. I'm a happy Yak track player with this. But that's all I have to say. I don't think I have anything else to say. Are you good?
I'm good.
Okay, so that means this episode's a wrap. Of course, if you're a Patreon subscriber, check out the monthly bit on sailing. It's going to be a good one. Patreon.com/RSBANDB. And for everybody else, be sure to subscribe to the podcast. We're on Apple Podcasts, Google, Spotify, Pocket Casts, YouTube at youtube.com/RSBANDB. Check us out, update.rsbnb.com/subscribe. And with that being said, we'll see you guys next week for another episode of RSBANDB Update. Take care, everyone.
See ya.